everyone, Kristina Werner here. Welcome to another card video for SimonsTheStamp.com. Today I'm going to be creating a couple cards using supplies from the May 2018 card kit. And I'm mainly going to be using this really large stamp set. It's called Everything Together. And I'm going to be using the 2 ink cubes that come in the kit, plus an additional 3 colors, just to round out the color palette. I wanted to use the same colors or inspiration from these puffy stickers and the papers that are in the kit. So I just filled in a couple colors, and if you want to know the exact colors I used, make sure you check out the supply section down below. So this stamp set, like usual, is available outside of the kit as well if you just want the stamps, but the kit is such an amazing value. I really encourage you, if you're thinking about it, go ahead and snatch this up before it's sold out, because I'm pretty sure it'll sell out quickly. So I've taken some white cardstock. This is going to be my card base for my first card. And I'm going to stamp the really large greeting from the stamp set in VersaFine ONYX black ink. I'm going to do some stamping around the edge of the card eventually, but for now I just wanted to get that center area stamped really, really well. And I got a great impression the first time I stamped it. I made sure to walk my fingertips over every single area of that really large stamp and press it down as hard as I could, and I got a really great impression. So I cleaned up that stamp really, really, really well, multiple times, stamped it multiple times, trying to get all that black ink off. And now I'm going to do some rainbow multicolor stamping. So the first color I'm using is Teeny Bikini, and I'm putting that just at the very top of this greeting, and then I stamped it down. You'd notice that I did take a paper towel and just kind of wiped off or dabbed off a little bit of that ink right off that bottom edge. I'm going to do the same thing with this melon color, but this time I'm going to take the paper towel and dab off along the top area where I've applied the ink and the bottom area where I've applied the ink. That's going to soften the transition between the colors. So I'm going to keep this video here playing at normal time, and I'm going to walk you through the entire process, because the type of stamping, this rainbow multicolor stamping that I'm doing with this very large greeting, is the exact same technique that I'll be showing when I stamp the flowers around the outside edge of the other card. So now I'm taking the color Duckling, and I'm adding that to the area that would be right below that orange melon shade. And like I did with the melon color, I'm taking my paper towel and dabbing off a bit of that ink on the top and bottom where this yellow will transition into the shades above and below it. So I'm going to stamp that down, make sure I get a really good impression, and then I'm going to move on to the green shade. So I wanted to mention something in particular when it comes to stamping really large greetings like this, especially with this rainbow technique. You really want to make sure that your cardstock is in your MISTI stamp positioning tool or your stamp platform or whatever tool you're using to stamp this. You want to make sure that it's in the exact same spot every time you stamp. Some people are able to do this with magnets or taping the piece down. For me, I found the easiest way to do this was to just double check and make sure it was flush all the way down into that bottom corner of the MISTI tool every time I stamped. In fact, I double and triple check sometimes just to make sure it's in there just right. So I know it's in that corner. I haven't done much to it this time, but I'm going to check it one more time right before I stamp it. So this is the very last color with all of that rainbow stamping, and I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. I love this transition of color. So I decided to use the same techniques on the other card. So I'm going to bring in that other card that has a black greeting, and I'm going to stamp the flowers and leaves from that same stamp set using that technique. So I'm going to start out by putting some of the Teeny Bikini color, or I'm starting with Duckling. I'm putting Duckling in the center of that flower. I'm going to dab off the outside edges because I just want the center to be yellow. And then I'll come back in with Teeny Bikini, and then I'm going to dab off the center so that the yellow comes through. So then you get a really cool transition of color on that one flower. I'm going to use a similar idea for this leaf. I started with yellow, and now I'm going to add some green. I'm going to put another flower up here, and on this one I thought I would just have it be just a straight melon color, But then I decided, no, I think I want it to have a little more red on the edges, so then I added that in. So for some of these stamps, I started out with just a portion with that image with the ink color, and then other times I went ahead and just stamped the entire ink color all at once. I think I'm going to do that on this one, which I'll show you here. So I just put yellow on it, stamped it all in a flat yellow, and then came in and added some blue along the outside edge, which actually turned green. So I'm going to add some flowers over here on the other side. I'm doing the same exact steps, just making sure that I add the ink to only where to the areas only where I want it, and make sure I dab off some of that color when it comes to the other shades. So I wanted to slow down and show you this little tip here. So this flower is going to hang off the edge of this cardstock here. And so I'm going to use the creative corners for my Sweet Petunia. It's made to be used in your MISTI tool. You put that clear corner in so you get your paper exactly where you want it. And then you can pick up your stamp, and then you can bring that square ruler tool back in, realign your cardstock, and then you can remove that tool again. I'm actually going to bring in a magnet to hold that down, just to help me when I remove the tool. And then I can do my stamping. And every time I need to reposition my cardstock, I can slide that little square corner piece back into my MISTI tool so that I can get my paper in there just right. This allows you to do stamping off the edges of your cardstock that you otherwise might not be able to do with such precision. I'm going to bring in that square tool again so I can line it up so that I can then stamp that teeny bikini shade. And I'll have that stamp be in the exact same position. I'm going to show you how precise this is. You're going to watch that center area of that flower. It's going to get a really perfect impression, even with that detail on the inside of the flower. I'm going to stamp this down, and even though the paper moves because that stamp is kind of sticky and it picks it up, I got a great impression. And that's just by using those creative corners from my Sweet Petunia inside my MISTI stamp positioning tool. So I've sped up the video again. I'm going to continue stamping all of these flowers around the outside edge of this card. And I did go all the way around, and I made sure to add some more blue shades in there as well. I'm going to finish off with this last little bud stamp in the corner. And then I'm going to take the really tiny dot stamps from the stamp set and just fill in some of those gaps around the flowers. I'm using the blue shade, the pink shade, and also the yellow shade. This is just going to give me a really great filled out border all the way around this design. So that finishes this card. I'm just going to peel off a little bit of Post-it tape that I put at the very top. I didn't mention this earlier, but I did put a strip of Post-it tape on the back side of the card to protect it past the fold. So I'm going to use my Teflon bone folder and press this down so it's nice and creased. And then I'm going to go ahead and score the other card base. So I'm going to score that with my Teflon bone folder and then fold that down. So those are the two cards today that I made using some of the supplies from the May 2018 card kit, mainly the Everything Together stamp set and the 2 ink cubes that are included in the kit. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you check out this card kit over at SimonsSaysStamp.com, and I'll see you guys soon for another video.